How you doing, family? Okay, I'm going to pick up where I left off, and I want to talk about um, where I left off on the last movie. I was talking about the meditation and what meditation is is designed to do, to help you to do. I referred to one of the great teachers, Eckhart Tolle, but and also I mentioned Rahilio Strawn, the person I learned from 42 years ago. Um, but one of the things I want to point, make a point to say to you by way of helping you to understand how easy it is for you to gain control over your life and over your world and your environment. It's easy. I say it's so easy because what you really need to do is very easy to do, and that is to stop identifying with the manifested world. This body is the closest thing to you that is the manifested world. This is the interface between you and the manifested world, that which has been manifested because of thought and belief. And all of that comes from you within this vehicle. And you were born with that power and authority by God, which is you. You gave yourself this authority. Because some people say, well, who am I? Why would God give me this? Because you are God. So really, God gave it to itself. Ain't no he, ain't no she. God is it. To say he or she is to limit, and you're going to be wrong. You cannot limit the unlimited. The only time the unlimited has limits is when it takes form. But you are not the form. You have created the form, and it exists within your environment. Very simple. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. You don't need no deep analysis to understand this. You don't need no deep analysis to understand you. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to point out is that there are two things happening right now that you really have to learn. And that is the difference between projecting your beliefs and your thoughts to make things manifest in this world, and looking at stuff that is already manifested and allowing it to define what you're going to think and believe. You can use it to as a corrective process of you looking at whatever's happening out here. If it's impacting you, you created it. Now, whether you did it knowingly or unknowingly, it doesn't matter. The machine creates whatever you believe. So if you've been believing some nonsense, that's what you got out here. The machine does not say no, it only says yes and okay, because it can't think. You gotta understand this. You gotta understand the characteristics of the subconscious mind and the infinite being. The thinking happens with you. And you use this mind space. You use it. And if you have not been using it to project thoughts, then the AI is going to project some thoughts. Ain't nobody else doing nothing. So the AI said, okay, I got free reigns here. And the AI is a brute. This flesh vehicle AI, dumb as hell. Dumb, don't know nothing, just dumb brute. And that's why when you find, you can tell a dumb brute. When you're around them, you could see there is no depth to them. There's no intelligence. There is no, and it's not, I'm not putting him down. I'm just, you got to understand. There are millions of dumb brutes because the human race has only evolved to this level. That's why you weren't educated when you were born. They don't know what they're doing. The vast majority of people have no idea of what the hell is going on because they're dumb brutes. In order for you to get to where I am, I had to do a whole lot of reading and training and watching and listening and comparative analysis and if then logic. If this is happening, then this must be. And I always kept asking, why? 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 Every time I asked why, an answer would come through a movie, through a book or something I was reading, or a YouTube video. Yeah, but I avoid television like a plague because of all the commercials. Because they're projecting, they're injecting into my eyes things that I'm not choosing. I don't play that. Since I was 22, I don't play that. So now when I'm in situations where I am, being badgered into watching stuff and whatnot, oh no, don't tell me this thing is giving me another update. This thing is, oh, okay. No, it's not coming through yet. Yeah, a lot of time my mom, she'll badger me to come sit out there and watch TV with her. And unfortunately, when she grew up, that's the way they grew up. They don't, those folks, they didn't know no better. They're doing the best they can. They're working with what they could work, what they had at the time. Okay, it's not her fault. But I can't allow her to drag me into that infantile nonsense. I can't. It's an insult. I can't watch it. It's like it's like people, uh, 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 putting a blindfold on and just walking into glass barefooted. I mean, and then they complain, wow, my feet are hurting. Wow, I'm this, and wow, I feel this, and oh, I don't, but they don't know. And all I can tell her is, well, you gotta stop watching that TV. And that's not easy for her to do. She's 80 something years old. She's been doing this, letting the flesh vehicle run things for 80 something years. She could change, but it's gotta come from within. So what I do is I lead by example. I sit here in my room. She'll see me reading books. She'll see me watching YouTube. Right now I have my meditation music going. Sometimes I'll sleep with that and I'll have my voice, my recordings going, because now what I'm doing is I am projecting and manifesting things. I'm using the law of attraction. I'm now using all of my skills from Rhonda Burns, Eckhart Tolle, not Eckhart Tolle. He doesn't teach. He doesn't teach law of attraction. But he, in a second hand, in a backhanded way, he does, because he's telling you that, well, whatever's happening in your world, you created it because of what you've been identifying with in your mind. But he does not specifically promote the law of attraction or you projecting thoughts. That's not his teaching. That's not what he's here to do. I'm not asking him to be what he's not. I'm thankful and grateful to him for teaching me how to draw back or confirm for me what I've been doing it for decades. But he's out there teaching phenomenal lessons to people, and people are getting it. And I am so happy to see so many people getting it. What we're teaching, what we're living, I'm living the truth. And one of the things I've always said in my other movies, to know the truth, you got to live the truth. You got to function from truth. And that's why if you watch him, he is an extreme case of the monks and people who go into monasteries and go into ashrams and different we call them retreats. What retreat means to run away from or to get away from. So we have to get away from the modern society and the brutality of it. We're very organized. We're very sophisticated. We have buildings and beautiful systems, and the vast majority, I would say, of the society, although they not be totally aware or identify with their essential self, but they have a moral and intellectual principles and morals that of right and wrong, and they believe in law and order, and they follow laws, and they have an organized and decent society. But we have a lot of brutes running around here. Some of them in police uniforms, some of them on the football field. You got some of them in base. Sports is filled with it. Forget about wrestling and boxing, and where people are beating each other up and breaking their jaws and killing each other and beating. That's that whole. You go back to the time of the gladiators and the Greeks and all of this barbaric nonsense that they were doing. You have a lot of that, and that's what boxing and wrestling and full thing martial arts and all this crazy nonsense and beating each other up. That's brute. That's identifying with the carnal flesh brutality of the flesh, which has no mind and has no intelligence, and it doesn't care about anything. It enjoys pain and suffering because it got nothing else to do. It's not connected to righteousness. It's not connected to you, which is the spirit, the power source of all things. And once the flesh vehicle, the AI or the flesh vehicle gets you, and you strictly, it's almost impossible for you to see who you really are, because the flesh is running everything, and you just sitting there watching it going on, thinking you're a part of it, because once you identify with this flesh as you have relinquished control. You gave it over. You gave all your power to the flesh, and you just sitting there. And you have some people who their flesh vehicle is very dysfunctional, maybe retarded, maybe a psychopath, a sociopath. Yeah, people get drunk to say, I don't remember anything. I didn't know. I didn't do it. I don't remember. That's lazy. You allowing the flesh feel, but you don't know it. See, now, if you know it and you do it, now you're just being lazy. But when you don't know, there is no blame. It's not your fault. There is no fault. It just is. You murdered somebody. I didn't mean to do it. You murdered them anyway. That's what happens when things are out of control. And if you're not in control, when I say out of control, that means you're not in control. But you better believe something else is always in control. And the sad part about it is it don't get nothing. Don't get you nothing. Don't do nothing for nobody. It just is brutality. Just raw, brutal being a manifestation of nonsense. Does no good. It may do some, it actually may do some good. It's just that if it's not impacting you directly, it's impacting somebody else. And it may link back to you directly. Hope not. Because if you are righteous, then you're going to attract more righteousness. Because you're putting out righteous. If you putting out wealth and excellent health all the time, all your thoughts and stuff that you projecting and visualizing and seeing and casting to the subconscious machine from within, then all that's going to manifest around you is righteousness, goodness, and wealth and excellent health. Because that's what you're putting out. And, you know, in their Bible, it says, as a man thinketh, so shall he receive. Okay? So I just wanted to make sure that you understand that distinction. Let me get my notes up here. This thing is always trying to do this. I don't know why. Okay. Okay. Let me get my notes opened here. Okay, so Eckhart is, again, Eckhart is what I want you to enjoy Eckhart and sit with him, and I want you to gain this perspective of just learning to just be comfortable with being you. And if you've been doing not been connected to self and become self-actualized, as we, say, and talk about, um, becoming self-actualized is almost the first thing that happens when you get on the path of righteousness and you begin to do your meditations. And it's happening faster now than it did when I started 40 years ago, because there was nobody like me telling you how easy it is. And because when I learned, oh man, they were so desperate to uh, break the link between the flesh vehicle AI running stuff and you identifying with this flesh vehicle as if it's you. They were so desperate to break us out of that habit that they were brutal. They had us fasting, not eating at all, and no nothing. 2 weeks and stuff. No TV. Cut that TV off. No music. No nothing. It was a different time back then. We're in a different time now. We're a lot more sophisticated, and I understand, and I can refine the process. And when you get this and you teach it, you're going to add your little bit that's going to refine the process and make it easier and more palatable and easier for people to be able to latch on and take charge of their lives much sooner in a shorter period of time than I did. It took me 35 years or so. I mean, I started early, but I didn't know nothing about no law of attraction. We wasn't practicing none of that. I didn't find out about that until about maybe 5, 6 years ago. I found out about that. Okay, and I have to go look at my notes to see exactly what year I wrote up my first plan. But again, law of attraction is about, and I want to keep drawing this distinction for you between what Eckhart Tolle is teaching, which is not about projecting any thoughts. Eckhart Tolle is teaching you how to be you. Uh, okay? Rhonda Burns is teaching you about projecting thoughts without helping you to. They tried to tell you about it in the book. They really, really drum it home, but it doesn't help you to understand what Eckhart Tolle is teaching you. Eckhart is teaching you about being present. He calls it being in the now. In other words, right now. This is it. This is you. You are what you are now. The witness that is watching right now. And you will always be this. And that's an important lesson and a primal. That's a primal lesson to learn, which means when I use the word primal, which means it's essential. This is your base, your foundation. And from there is where you're going to exercise your authority to project beliefs into manifestation into your world. But you must be tapped into your unlimited power, which is just being present, as Eckhart Tolle called it. And I love the terminology. He's right. To be present is to be now, in the now, and identified and anchored. The anchored is a better word. The reason why I love the word anchored, he says, stay identified with your essence, he said, your presence, your awareness, the watcher. But you have to be anchored in that knowingness of you. So now when you go into the world and you're projecting it from a source of unlimited power. Okay? And when you do that, it's just unbelievable. It's just really, it's overwhelming. Once you tap into it and you feel it and you understand it, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. It's just like you almost understand why. How could I ever have functioned without doing this? It's like it almost illogical. It doesn't make sense. Once you know, but now you know, and it's not a knowing, inexperienced knowing. It's a knowing from doing. Remember what Yoda said? Do or do not. Because once you do, and once you understand and you know, then knowing is beyond belief. Belief is the act of explaining to somebody what you know. See, you gotta get into knowing. And when you know your God, belief is easy. See? And that's what you've got to learn. That's the process. Now, it's easier for me because I have practiced not being a part of the world for 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 4 decades. I have practiced this off and on in this way and that way. Was it a straight line? No, 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 no. It's not that simple when you have been locked into the world. And it is simple, but it's going to take some practice. You're going to have to work on this, especially if you haven't been doing this. And back when I started, life was much more simpler than it is right now. You got so much technology now that you find it hard to believe the things I'm telling you because the technology is so sophisticated, so smart. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. But the act of learning who you are is still the same, still simple. That will never change. I don't care how sophisticated and how uh, uh, intelligent creations appear to be, they still come from beliefs and the feelings that accompany those beliefs that are founded and anchored in knowing who you are. No chaser, no doubt. Practice, 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 and rejoice in the coming of successes and the little successes that you'll get from here and there. Your meditations are not always going to be necessarily smooth and effortless. It should be effortless, because the moment you're putting in a whole lot of effort, you're doing something wrong. Stop doing whatever you're doing. You shouldn't have to work at it. Now, once you begin to project visions and hold those visions, no other thoughts are coming and interfering and getting in. No. Now, that don't mean they're going to stop trying. Oh, the thoughts are still going to be trying. And when they come, you say, oh, okay, no, okay, but I don't want to think about that. I want to think about this right now. I want to think about my living room space. I want to think about holding my pet, watching a movie or a video or something pleasurable. Okay, I watch a lot of movies that have concepts in them, and they are entertaining. I allow my spirit, my flesh vehicle to receive entertaining that is cored and based on principles. That's why I like a lot of Star Wars. I like a lot of Star Trek. Okay, there are certain movies like that that have deep, deep principles. Uh, um, the Matrix and all the different sequential movies of Matrix. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of principles. Okay. I watch even some movies that are not too cool. They're violent, and, like. But I like certain actors because I understand their righteousness. Keanu Reeves, Robert De Niro. Oh, please, please. Uh, just, just the, I find uh, um, uh, Keanu Reeves uh, is a very deep person, deep character, um, and you can learn a lot from him. All right, watching a lot of movies, and that's what I do. But when I'm doing my visions, that's what I do. I'm projecting those visions, and after a while, you don't have to. You won't battle thoughts, because after a while, the flesh vehicle says, oh, "Look, this cat ain't giving up." He said, "Okay, so he's for real. All right, I'm gonna sit back and chill. I don't have to. He's got the ball, and he's running with it, and I can't do what he does. In my case, I'm a he. That's how this works. God set all this up. Little by little, step by step, through entities like you. Because only you can create all of this out here. Bye. God set all this up and said, you will do this. And if you don't, you will have chaos. And the situation, your circumstances will be so uncomfortable that you will be forced to make a change. God set all this up, so you will do it, one way or another. You're going to do this. That's why you're watching this video. Something must have went wrong. or you knew that you could do better. And it's led you to this video. Okay? And I'm going to give it to you, both barrels, no chaser. Okay? All right, let me see what else I want to talk to you about here. Okay, so I already spoke to you about the using the law of attraction, and that it is a projective uh, um, thought form process. Okay, where you are projecting thoughts and visions into the subconscious machine to make manifest what you see out here in this world. Okay, and I talked to you about the distinction between projecting and reactive uh, uh, thinking. And those are two types of thinking. You are projecting what you want by way of visions, okay, in your thinking, and seeing yourself having this by using the law of attraction. You see yourself as already having or being whatever it is you want to have changed in your environment. Okay, okay, and the distinction, that's a distinctly different behavior or tactic that you are using because you want to change something in your environment. Okay? And actually, the process of reacting to things that are already in the environment is something you really want to move away from doing. Because there's no sense reacting to something that's already is done. Okay? I mean, other than protecting yourself, that's fight or flight. That goes back to, you know, this here. So you just want to do more projecting than reacting. What? Let me see what else I'm going to go through here. So we talked about that, and identifying with form, which is the flesh vehicle and everything out here. You don't want to identification with it is saying that you are it and you are not. The only thing you need to identify with is your essential self. That is you, the part that never dies. Okay, I talked about self not caring. Why? Why is it? Because, yeah, and I told you why it's set up this way is so the unlimited. The reason my note says that I want to talk about why is this set up this way, because you always want to ask why. Well, why is it this way? Because the unlimited, undefined essence which you are wants to experience imperfection, because perfection is the end of the road. There's nothing to do with perfection, and everything is cyclical. So once you reach perfection, you got to go back down. It's boring and nothing else to do but go back down and start all over. Hell, it's just nothing to do. So you do that. That's my theory. Okay? That's my theory. But you could look at existence, and once you get into this, you're going to see. All right? But what I want to give you, what I didn't get, okay, this strict, rigid training that I had, but I've been living this way with using moderation in all things for 40 something years. So I've been living a quasi-vegetarian lifestyle for 40 some odd years. And I'm losing weight now because I'm getting back into that. I took time to get into graphic design, and I kind of dropped the ball on my diet, but I never dropped the ball on my essence. But I never really connected with my essence like I do now, because I have so much experience and so much repeated validation, constant, because I constantly read and other people who I don't know and don't know other people, and they're validating what I have experienced and what others have said that don't know each other. That's what I call comparative analysis. That's the way you do comparative analysis. You read something about one person, you say, oh, now you're going to go read something that somebody else wrote that's similar to that, that validates that point again, and they don't know each other. See? Now you know the likelihood of that being true is high because they don't know each other. And yet they're saying the same thing. And what I tell you, truth has a ring to it, a sound, as they say. The ring of truth, we used to say. That has the ring of truth. Because truth, there's only one truth. And I don't care who says it, it's still going to be the same truth. It's a fact. God set all of this up. And stuff that God put into motion stays in motion. And it's not negotiable. It is order, or I say an order. You will do it. And if you don't do it, you won't get. God's not picking on you. God doesn't feel. God doesn't care. God puts stuff in motion and it stays in motion. It's fire and forget. Not coming back to check on you. You don't do, you don't get. There is a law enforcement agency put in place, part of the order. You do, you get. You don't get. You abuse, you do something wrong, abuse and wrong stuff is going to come back to you. God is not sitting there patrolling it and saying, oh, that one did it wrong, go get him. No, God's not doing that. This is an order. It's set up and it is fixed, non-negotiable, and automatic. So whatever happened to you, you brought it on yourself. Whether you did it knowingly or not, the order doesn't care. And you just got to get to that. It's not picking on you. Okay? It's not picking on you. It's not personal. This is order. It's business. Get with it. Use it to your advantage. It's going to happen anyway, one way or another. Okay? This is urban logic I'm giving you here. This is ghetto logic. I'm not trying to be academic. I'm trying to teach the young folks in the community all this stuff that they should have been knowing since they were born. We should have known this stuff. And we're going to get it in. That's what this is about. Okay? And I just talked about using it to your advantage. And I talked about the universe doesn't care. But the flesh vehicle and the experiences that have accumulated over time in relation to this vehicle and the relationships that you've had with others in your environment, your brother, your mother, your father, and those moments and times spent together being compassionate and loving and caring with each other, and the warm feelings and memories that all of that brings, including tragedies and mistakes and things that have happened, and forgiveness and understanding and growth and beauty and all of that. Okay? This is life. This is why God set all of this up. So you can experience existence, to get away from the boredom of perfection. So we created this life cycle. It's a cycle. Starts at the beginning, reaches a peak, gets old, the vehicle dies off, start all over again. Get another vehicle. Reach a peak, that vehicle gets old, dies off, get another one. Because God is enjoying this. This ain't about no hell and no heaven. That stuff don't exist. God is about now. That's what you got to understand how this works. I don't care about no heaven, no hell story, no mythological Garden of Eden, and all that stupid nonsense. And it certainly don't give two blinks about some apocalyptic end of the world. That is a complete and total lie. And I defy and I dare bring me one of those so-called pastors. Come on. I eat you alive. When I get done with you, you'll want to go do some meditation. You want to box with God? Come on. I'm ready. I invite you. Come on. I'm not scared. Okay. But again, the righteous man knows, or woman, or the righteous person knows they have unlimited power at the twinkling or the pressing or the projecting of a thought. Now, when you know you got power, you don't have to uh, prove anything to anybody. I don't. That's a truly powerful entity that doesn't have to prove or flex or seek approval, seek validation. Oh, I am God. Oh, I am powerful. Oh, I am pretty. Oh, I am. Don't need that because you're already complete in your oneness with your essential self. Now, you enjoy play. You enjoy compassion, cuddling, um, intimacy, love, um, happiness, joy, being healthy. Okay, loving your children, being comfortable with them, laughing, watching them learn, make mistakes, and you enjoy, you teaching them, and you taking them to parks and national parks and places where they can enjoy themselves and learn and about life and pets and animals and how they what care they need. You teach them to care for others by teaching them to care for animals or care for their little brother or their little sister. Take your little sister to the park, take her to play. Teach them to care. Children have to be taught to care, just like they're taught to be prejudiced, racist, hateful. You have to be taught that. In other words, but this vehicle is trainable. See, this vehicle is trainable. So you have to make sure that you control what is impacting this vehicle and your children's vehicles until they're 18, 19, 20, 22, or whatever it is. Once they get at that age, you call them your children, but don't be confused. This flesh vehicle, you got no ownership of that. There's a spirit, a micro being in there that if you train them and teach them what I'm teaching you right now, you won't have to worry about them. they're going to be stars. They're going to be righteous. They're going to be whatever they're supposed to be in order to be in harmony with what's going on here. And whatever they bring to the game is going to be totally new because they're brand new from being connected almost instinctively when they're born. It's pure instinct. And they're going to be righteous. And let's be very clear. Babies don't smile. You teach them to genuflect and smile. You teach them that. Look at them. They'll look at you and with almost no expression at all because they are directly connected to God. And God don't care. I'm not making this stuff up. Look at the babies. When they're first born, they just look at you. And they see you smile and they say, "Oh, I'll imitate you. Is that what you're doing? Okay, I'll do that too." But they are instinctively self. And they're just looking because they can't control physically anything at all. They haven't been taught. They have not developed the muscles and stuff, even the intelligence. They haven't learned none of that stuff. So when you look at them, you're looking at a blank piece of paper. And it looks at you like this. And if you smile, it'll say, "Oh." Have to be taught. Do the best you can. Raise them the best way you can. But it's a complicated world. Very complicated. And I don't think it's healthy to not expose them to some adversities in the world. They'll never learn how to overcome adversity if you don't expose them to some of it. You train them, you give them the skills, you teach them right for wrong, you let them go out in the field, make mistakes. They may do something wrong or something may be done wrong to them. They'll come back, explain it to you, say, "Oh, okay, that's what happened. Okay, well, next time, this is what you should try to do." See how that works out. Okay? That's what this is about. Okay? But life is to be enjoyed and experienced. And what I kind of, my other teacher, Rahilio Strawn, they, in their desperation to help particularly black people in America regain some semblance of control in their lives, they have sent us into the desert. He teaches us to disconnect from the world, go into the desert, learn to control your emotions, all of your thoughts, tap into your oneness as God, and stay there and get that together. Now, in the military, they do the same thing to you. They break you down. They say, "Forget about all that stuff you know. This is what we want you to know." So you are what they call programmed. They introduce you into programs. On TV, they show you programs. Programs are thoughts and things that are shown to you to create a reaction that will be sown into your spirit, and you will regurgitate that and behave in accordance with what they are into programming into your brainwashing you. They call it training. Nothing wrong with that. But you're supposed to be training you. Now that you know, You're supposed to be calling the shots. Because when something go wrong, you mess up on that training, your finger get broke. Do you think the teacher that taught you and gave you the training, you think they're going to scream and holler in pain? You are going to scream and holler in pain. Your vehicle. So you better take charge. Yes, you take your training, going through school, you learn your ABCs, you learn the language, you learn the alphabets, which teaches you words and syllables and sentences and paragraphs and pages and words and everything. Okay? You have to learn that. You need to learn a couple of different languages so you can communicate with other people because you don't know what they can teach you. Okay? But you first need to be tapped into you. Always function from your essential self. That's what they call being self-actualized. It means all of your actions and everything you're doing is coming with the full knowledge and control out of you as your essential self, an unlimited being that cannot die. And you're not identified with the flesh vehicle. You're not identified with your thoughts. You're not identified with the mind space. You are the watcher. That essence that is always present, as Eckhart Tolle talks about. And the meditations are have different tactics and different exercises that you're going to learn. Rahilio, I'm going to jump down because I'm going into the meditations now. Rahilio talked about the different meditations. Okay, okay. He calls them the different meditations are Satipatthana, Raja, Karma, Bhakti, and Nana. Nana is spelled with a J, like Hnana. That's the way they would pronounce it, Hnana. Okay? And these are 5 meditations that are based on the Kabbalistic, the Vedantin, and the, what's the other one? I didn't make a note of that. There's 3 different cultures, meditative cultures that he studied, and he put it together in this book that he created called Meditation Techniques. That was Rahilio Strawn. That was my teacher. Well, he was my actual teacher, but he taught my teachers, and Verna was my teacher who taught me meditation. But I, you know, took the meditation class, and it only lasted about I think we did it on the weekends. So it was about maybe 6 weekends that I went and I learned meditation. And then I took a Tai Chi class. There was another teacher who taught Tai Chi, which is teaching you how to use your breathing and motion. And all of this is designed to help you to distinguish your flesh vehicle from your spirit that is within. All of these techniques, all of these meditation, Tai Chi, martial arts, Kung Fu, and all these things are designed to help you to remember and be anchored in the reality of who you are. So you're not afraid of death. You know, death is can an association with form can confuse you or trick you into feeling stuff that's not real. Fear, terror, and all this other stuff. If you can control your fears, oh, 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 you can really do a lot. And that's an understatement, because almost everything in this society is based on fear. We're going through, this is 2020, 2019, December, um, uh, December 15th now, okay? And we're in the midst of of an impeachment process where they're impeaching the filthy thing that stole the election back in 2016. He's not a real president. The Russians put him in, and he's just a filthy, lowdown uh, 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 a person who is totally identified with this flesh vehicle. He is a brute, a carnal brute. He's uneducated, unsophisticated, and he just happened to be born with a whole lot of money and no brains. And he swears he's doing something because he's able to murder, terrorize, and brutalize people at will. And believe you me, everything that I've been telling you and teaching you, I told you, there's an automatic system that what you put out, you're going to get it back multiplied exponentially. I left that part out. But when you murder and kill and encourage and inspire murder and killing on the level that he is doing, as long as he's on this plane of existence, the automatic police system called karma is going to eat him alive. And I just want to be there to see it. I'm just going to go like this and tell everybody on Facebook, told you. Because God set all this up. There is no getting over. There's no getting away from God. You can't do that. He doesn't believe in God. He's a sociopath. He is myopic. He's only about his person, not self. His person, his vehicle. That's what's running his world. And they're going to eat him alive. The karmic law is going to move people to eat him alive. He's going to feel pain that he ain't never knew because he thinks he could do whatever he wanted. He says it all the time. I can do whatever I want to do. Oh yeah, you sure can. But you're going to pay. He's so dumb, he forgot about the paying part. And the exponents, that little to the 10th power. The evil and the hatred that he is promoting. Whatever you put out, that's what you get back. And I don't have to do a thing. I already have the full knowledge of what's going to happen to him. And all I'm doing is telling everybody, get your popcorn. Get your popcorn. Because you're going to look at Hitler. Take your pick. Take your pick of any one of them that'll come out and swore they were doing something and gonna get away with it. But see, my thing is, I don't want no tree to fall in the forest. I want to be there. I want to witness. See? Because there must be balance. There always is. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay, so those are the 5 different yoga techniques that you can try. Rahilio Strong. Now, the book that I have, unfortunately, you can't get it anymore. They don't make it anymore. It's not in print. But he explains that Satipatthana is the act of not going, which means when you go into self and you bond back into self through your meditations, when thoughts are coming through, Satipatthana is the process of not going. The ability to stay centered in self and see everything else as distinct from self, yourself. Everything else is happening. The thoughts that are coming through, the mind space that the thoughts are flowing through. You're not even that. You're the witness because you're watching it. You can't be something you're looking at. Huh? You can't. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's what that's about. So let me go back. I want to go back up to the top of my notes and make sure I give you some more stuff. Yeah, I talked about the infinite meaning, infinite knowing. Okay, uh, and it does not need the infinite knowing does not need memory because it just is. Memories are things that happen under knowing. Okay, within knowing. In other words, knowing looks at memories. Okay, again, you're always the knowing, you're always self. Everything else self looks at, self sees, self hears, but self doesn't move. Everything else moves around self because everything else is created by self. Okay? And self does not need time. An infinite, unlimited being, time does not exist. And we talked about that in the past videos. Okay? Okay, I'm over my time. Okay, family. So again, I hope I've given you some more meat on the bones. After this, I will do maybe 2 more videos on meditation. Okay? Practice, 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 and have fun, and don't take anything too serious because you have an unlimited amount of power, and nothing else is any more serious than that. And that is you. So when you're unlimited power, you don't worry about nothing else around that, which is you. Okay, family? See you in the next movie. Oops. Okay.